Two more signs of a slow economy emerged yesterday as the Commerce Department reported that growth in domestic product declined to 1.9% in the second quarter. And the Federal Reserve cut interest rates by another 0.25%.
You know, that's terrible, according to Donald Trump, who, of course...
No, that was terrible, according to Donald Trump a few years ago.
Well, but he said that it would be horrible to be president when growth was that slow. Hey, Steve Rattner, you, of course, the kids that were excited about the World Series were especially excited because there's a doubleheader here today on the 31st, Halloween and your chart. So they're all very excited about that. You know, the thing about this 1.9% growth, let's talk about this up front before the charts. It comes after the president's extraordinarily reckless spending spree. In fact, a spending spree that even Rand Paul said was the most reckless in American history. He couldn't vote for Donald Trump's budget. And then, of course, that massive tax cut for corporations and the richest people in America, massive tax cut that gutted actually a lot of deductions for small business owners. That was supposed to energize the economy. It's had the opposite effect. And, of course, we now have a $22 trillion national debt because of it.
All that's true, Joe. So maybe you want to go ahead and do my charts for me. You got all the talking points, but I'll chime in. I'll chime in. But let me start because we went out with a Donald Trump tweet. I'll come in with a Donald Trump quote from December of 2017 when he said, "So we're at 3.3% GDP. I see no reason why we don't go to 4%, 5%, or even 6%. And instead of that, we are at 1.9%. And what you can see on this chart is that he did have this sugar high that you were referring to after the tax cut in 2000.
Could I ask you, really, can I interrupt you really quickly? So I'm not really good at these charts. So I see a lot of really, really high numbers in gray. Those are like huge numbers. And then they're dwarfing the little blue numbers to the right, the little blue. Can you tell me, what are those really high numbers in gray? Who was president then, and who, when the little blue part of the chart? I'm not really good at reading charts. Willie can tell you that. Can you help us out there?
Yes, I can help you out there. The gray numbers, the gray bars rather, are Barack Obama's 8 years in office, and the blue bars are Donald Trump's.
So he ended up doing a pretty damn good job, I guess. If you believe
Steve crazy.
If you believe numbers and data, right?
He did a pretty good look. He took over an economy, which, as you can see, that red line over on the left. When he took over the economy, we were in a negative growth territory, and you can see the red line, which shows you the annual rates of increase. Were pretty similar, actually, under Barack Obama to what they are under Donald Trump. But that red line over on the right, which is what's happening now, is you can see growth trailing off. And only just, there's a horizontal line that you also can see at 3%, and which was Trump's original target. And you can see he only popped above it by a little bit for a little bit of time. And since then, it's been trending essentially straight down. And each year of his presidency, the growth rate has been lower than the year before. And we are now in sub 2% growth as opposed to the 3, 4, 5, 6% growth that he promised us.
Boy, that's really bad.
So why is this happening? Actually, and here's another great irony of this situation. The biggest contributor to the decline or to the slower growth rate has been an absolute decline, an outright decline in business investment. And so you can see...
Wait, Steve. I'm confused because...
Deal maker.
No, I'm really confused. Help me out here. I'm just a poor country lawyer. But I thought, and we were told, and all Republicans promised us, that if they cut taxes for the richest people in America and multinational corporations, that would spur investment. Now, of course, I don't know a whole lot about economics, so I was saying they're going to waste some money on stock buybacks, and that actually this tax cut actually wasn't tailored to inspire investment. But all the smart Republicans and all the right-wing economists said it would spur investment. But could we put the chart back up? Because, Steve, I'm confused. I'm so deeply confused this Halloween morning. it looks like investment has actually plummeted since Donald Trump's tax cut.
So you can see those three blue bars in the middle. You got a little bit of a short-term spurt upward, and then, as you say, it has plummeted since then, and now we've had actually 2 consecutive quarters of negative business investment.
Oh, my
which
God.
I know you're going to want to go to those gray bars over on the left, and I don't think you can
Yeah,
find
but I mean, the gray bars, Willie, can I get Willie in here? Willie, look. No, seriously,
Come on.
the gray bars are so much higher, and Donald Trump had promised us, and every Republican promised us, that if they put us a couple $1 trillion more in debt, that investment would pick up. It's just dropping like a Led Zeppelin. Willie?
I know you're better with the pie chart, Joe, the USA Today pie chart
Yes.
about what vegetables
Yes.
people like. So let me walk you through this.
By the way, also, my favorite USA Today pie chart ever was that 3/4 of Americans make up 75% of the public. I understand those. These confuse me, though.
That was a classic. Steve, limit those last 2 negative bars. Does that mean people are
Wow,
holding
look how
on to the
bad that
money
is.
because of why?
Yes, that's a great. Thank you, Willie, for
Yeah.
a good question. Yes, finally got one. They are holding on. They are holding on to the money first and foremost because of Donald Trump's trade war, which has caused business to say, "Let's just pull back. Let's hold off. Let's see what's going on here before we rush out and spend a lot more money on plants and equipment." And so he has only himself to blame for those 2 blue bars on the right that go down. Now, can we turn to Joe's favorite subject
Boy,
that he's
those are
already
bad.
previewed for me, which is federal spending? So, Joe, you can see here over on the left that all the way on the
Wow.
left, that blue line was the recession-fighting spending that Barack Obama approved. Then you can see all the efforts in Congress to cut back the sequestration, the shutdowns, all the stuff we remember. The blue line falls into negative territory. We're actually cutting government spending. You can see to the right a vertical line, Trump's inauguration day, and you can see since then the blue line just going up and up and up. And in fact, of the 1.9% growth we got last quarter, 0.4%, roughly a quarter of it, came from higher government spending, not from actual real
Well, that's-
economic activity.
Jonathan, that sounds like socialism.
Steve, I don't know if this is a good question or not, but you just mentioned the R word, recession. There are certainly, as you say here, there are signs of slowdown. Is there anything to suggest here that a recession, A, could happen, or that, B, there's anything that could indicate that the economy could pick back up between now and, say, I don't know, November 2020?
So those are good questions, too.
Thank you.
And Joe asked good questions, just for the record.
Sometimes.
But look, on the second part of your question is the easier one to answer. The chances of the economy picking up and increasing the growth rate, I think most economists think is very low. There's nothing going on in this economy that would cause it to pick up and start growing at 2, 3, 4, 5%. Recessions are really hard to predict. Economists are bad at it. I would say most economists think there's a 25–30% chance, but you can't see it in the data yet. We will get a jobs number tomorrow. It will probably be a slow jobs number for a variety of reasons, including the General Motors strike, but jobs growth is definitely slowing down. And here's a fun fact for you. Manufacturing employment in 3 states, plus some others, but 3 key states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, all fell last month.
Those are important states, Steve.
Those are kind of important states.
You know, so you actually moved to my next question, which had to do with the manufacturing slowdown. We're in a manufacturing recession, not just in a lot of those states, but also worldwide. And most economists across the world do blame the worldwide manufacturing slowdown on Donald Trump's trade war. We talk about it an awful lot, but I mean, the evidence is unavoidable. It's obvious that Donald Trump's trade wars not only are causing manufacturing recessions in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin, but all across the globe.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely right. The great irony of the whole economic situation is that a year and a half ago, the International Monetary Fund said that global growth has never been as broad-based and as sustained as it was around the world then. That was 18 months ago. They've been cutting their forecast steadily since then, and it is exactly because of the trade war. And it is exactly because of Donald Trump having started the trade war. So again, among the many ironies of this is Trump, who came into office saying, I'm going to fix this economy, has actually made the economy worse off than it was when he got here.
So our great Fed Chairman Powell yesterday dropped the rate another quarter point, but said that looked like it was about as far as they felt comfortable pushing rate drops. What's the impact of that going to be? And are we at a point now where, because of the massive spending, because of the massive tax cuts, because of the historically low interest rates, we've really run out of fiscal or monetary policies that would help us escape a coming recession? We're over leveraged, and we're still sitting at 1.9% growth. There doesn't seem to be a great upside there if we do hit a recession.
No, that's exactly right. We have used many of the tools that we have in our arsenal, as you said, fiscal policy as well as monetary policy. I think the Fed was right to cut interest rates yesterday because you've seen these growth numbers. There is still very little inflation in the economy. That is one piece of good news that we should acknowledge, and that does give both the Fed as well as the Treasury, if we decide to spend more money if a recession occurs, some tools to work with. But no, we're not in a great situation, Joe. You talk often, and I completely agree with you, about the massive amount of debt that we've put on this economy in the last several years. And now we have these low interest rates, which limit the Fed's flexibility. And we're not in a good place when you put it all together.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.